I don't have a ton of time because I have been given tasks to do this evening, but we do have time to try this out. My hope is that we can get this 4060 GPU. This is a brand new one. That big heat pipe on there. We're going to get this hooked up to this science experiment here, and then we are going to see if the performance is better than maybe a Thunderbolt dock would allow for, or a Thunderbolt enclosure would allow for. So yeah, it's going to be hopefully fun and quick, but we'll see. You never know with these things. So what I've got here on the desk is an Oculink enclosure. These things are not elegant by any stretch. So in order for us to get this to work, we need this, that, and this, plus this. And they're all separate. So you've got this like stuff just exposed on the desk. So it's not ideal. I was looking around to see if they make an Oculink enclosure similar to a Thunderbolt enclosure where at least the power supply is all contained. And I have not found one yet. So I don't think these are all fully baked yet, is what I'm going to say. Not that that's a bad thing. I just think that's the reality. So today what we're going to do is try this out and see how it works. And we got some folks coming in. William Wilkinson is here. And C.R. Paul was wondering, have we finished yet? No, we haven't started, but now we've started. That was then, this is now. Now. But then if you're watching later, obviously it happened already. So that's the scoop. So let me get my computer plugged in here for a minute, and we'll mess around with this and see what we get. All right. You know what? I just realized my thumbnail is not correct. I just got pushed a notification. Let me make sure I got the right thumbnail here. I think I put the right one in there. We shall see. So yeah, so that's the long and short of it, is we're going to try this out and see what happens. And it looks like some folks are coming in on the Amazon side, so that's good. And let's see here. Let me see what my thumbnail looks like. So make sure I got the right thumbnail, and then we will continue. Sometimes I forget to do the thumbnail. Nope, I got the right one. Okay. That's weird. It's got like a... Maybe it's not, this phone may have just come back up. Okay, I got this Android phone that I booted up for the first time in a while. So, all right, so what we're going to do here is we are going to plug this into this. This will plug into here and to here, and then I'll plug this into that, and hopefully we'll be good to go. Whether or not that is what happens remains to be seen, but we shall see. And I should add that this comes with like a metal thing that secures everything, and I'm not using it. Is this going to go in there or what? Let's see. Usually you're putting this into a PC case. Am I doing this backwards? Yes, I am. Jeez. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. Okay, so we got that installed now. Okay, so that's securely latched in. And we're going to plug... this is not powered up yet. So we are going to be very careful about this. Because what it says here is that you must power off PC and then unplug and plug in the Oculink connector. So I will zoom in a little bit so you can see all this stuff here and what we're doing. But you can't... I could not find an enclosure that did all this stuff. Taz the Tech is here. Yeah, I've been getting better about my post automations. Sometimes they show up when they're supposed to. And Cedar Lake has a dreary day. Yes, I have my coffee, as a matter of fact. Oops, sorry. I have my coffee right here. I got my I got this at a Google thing I went to recently. Delicious. All right. I didn't get Dunkin' today. That'll be tomorrow. Okay, so let's start hooking things up here. And so I'm going to give you the overhead here so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to plug, the good thing is I don't have to use any screwdrivers yet. So we're going to plug the power supply into the power supply port here. This might be real quick if it doesn't line up. And this is a standard ATX power supply that I'm connecting. If I can get all the ports to align here. There we go. And then, because we have the need for separate power, we plug this in here. Let me get that relocked. So now we've got the power supply connected, and then we plug this into the Oculink port. Oh, you know what? I need to get that in. I saw there was a Minisforum one. I didn't see there was a B-Link one. So that I should look into that. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I think if they can get rid of all this extra stuff. Let me zoom out here just to show you how much stuff is involved with this. So we've got, now this is overkill. We don't need this big of a power supply, but this is the only ATX power supply I had on hand here. But yeah, so you're looking at a lot of extraneous equipment to make this all work. And now what I need to do is plug in, I got to find my HDMI cable, and we'll have some drivers to install once we get this thing hooked up, which of course is par for the course when you're doing one of these things. And I haven't connected power to anything yet, just to be safe. Now, why you would do this over Thunderbolt is that this is a direct connection to the bus. So you don't have a protocol in between here, as far as I'm aware. So I is here, Travis Rhodes is here, Catlow is here from Canada. Hi there. Yeah, I'm curious about how this is going to work too. We're gonna do this in real time. Hopefully there's no smoke. Now I think the Minisforum though doesn't have a power supply built in. And William Wilkinson doesn't get notified about his car getting fixed either. So it's not just YouTube; it's everybody. So if you can send me a link to full out of the box. I guess right. They have like you can buy the GPU already in the box, right? I like to roll your own because I see some value here for more than just GPUs, because I do a lot of video work, and if you could get like a nice PCI Express capture card attached, that has some value, I think. So for the high school that I advise, I sent we hooked up a Thunderbolt eGPU enclosure, and we have a Blackmagic card so they can capture 4 separate sources at 1080p through the PCI Express card that hooks up to a box, an enclosure with a power supply that's built in. All right, here comes the moment of truth. Okay, so that's connected. The power supply for the Minisforum is on. I feel like I'm about to take off in my little airplane that I fly in. All right, I just turned this on. Nothing has happened. So I don't know if there's a switch that has to be engaged, or if maybe when the Oculink comes up. Let's see. Oh, there it goes. So when the computer turned on, it activated everything. It all just came alive. All right, so now let's see if we get any video out of the display here. The good news is nothing electrocuted me or caught fire. And I'm not getting any video. Oh, yeah, we are. Wow, this actually worked right out of the gate. How about that? And we are going to have to put some drivers on this thing, so this is not ready yet, but this is more than I expected from a first attempt here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to download. Well, now it's frozen, so maybe I spoke too soon. We're going to download some NVIDIA drivers and go from there. if I can remember my password. There we go. All right. Well, this is actually kind of encouraging. I was surprised that this actually works on the first shot. All right, so right now we're just at 1080p. That's not a surprise because we don't have any drivers installed. So why don't we go grab some drivers here. Yeah, the video feels slow, but that's because we're running off of default. So this should, oops, this should be good. I just knocked, you see what I just did? I just knocked it. So that's not good. So go over to drivers. Yeah, so you know what I'm going to do, and actually this is encouraging because this happened, this works so quickly. What we're going to do is we're going to run a benchmark on this with the Oculink, and then we'll run another one inside of a Thunderbolt enclosure because this has a USB 4 Thunderbolt port, and we'll see how it does with that. All right, so we're going to go for, what do they call these? Are these still GeForce? Yeah, GeForce RTX, oops, RTX, and we're in desktop here, so RTX 40 series. And we'll select 4060. And again, this is slow just because we are running driverless right now. Let me move this down a little bit. All right, 4060. And I went with the 4060 just because, oh, looks like it found some driver here. Either that or something's crashing. I'm assuming it found the driver. Yeah, okay. Now the fan stopped turning on the card. Maybe it's, okay, so we'll say Windows 11 and find. It's running a little better now too. Yeah, so this is, I got an NVIDIA 4060 on this one, so that's, and by the way, the 4060 was the most reasonable card. I didn't want to spend $1,200 on a card for what won't be a $1,200 video. All right, so we're going to grab the Game Ready driver. And we'll download that. 722 megabytes. But when you have 10 gigabit connections here, it's pretty quick. We already downloaded it. It's already set. Yeah, this is getting to the science experiment level of. But you know what? If they had an enclosure that made sense, because you know these Oculink ports, you're going to start seeing these on laptops also. Now this one also came with, and these enclosures are all over the place. But this one actually came with something neat. So this, I'll give you my overhead here. Hopefully I don't drop it and short something out. This little adapter can plug into an NVMe slot. If you have a PCI Express NVMe slot, you put this in and then you get an Oculink out. So you could connect it directly with an Oculink connector or do what we do here, what we're doing here. All right, so NVIDIA graphics driver and GeForce Experience, agree and continue. Express, yeah, we'll just do the Express. The Brown is here. Good afternoon to you, sir. Yes, we are plugged directly into the GPU. That was something I noticed with the Thunderbolt scenario too, is that if you run it through the internal HDMI, you get bad performance. James Randolph is here. Good to see you. Yeah, this is definitely a test bed, although I've heard from people there's a B-Link enclosure that might be more elegant. So I'm going to try to get in touch with them. I have another B-Link mini PC to look at too, which is next on my agenda. I've got a bunch of stuff that came in today, so I'm being productive today. Made progress. But I'll probably do a short follow-up video just to show how this is working. And it is working. It's pretty cool. But I agree here. There's too much to knock over. And now the other thing, there's like the potential for chain reaction here too. So I have a power supply that's connected to this thing. so this is the power supply cable. This goes to the mini PC. So if I were to knock this off, it would take all of this stuff down with it. It's rather fraught with risk. And what's going to be funny when I do this video is that I always get comments from folks like, your desk is too small, you're going to knock something over. Like it drives a lot of people crazy. Grand Admiral Thrawn is here. We had a great weekend out here in the outer reaches, which we technically are here in the Milky Way. Did you know that? We are right on the outer ring of the galaxy. Okay, so it looks like these drivers are installed. Should I reboot? Probably wouldn't hurt, right? Let's reboot. And I'm getting AMD's. This thing doesn't know what it is. It's confused. I am going to reboot just for the sake of rebooting. Oh, I got that. Here's the cup of coffee. So last night I took my kids to we have actually a really active local group of theaters around here. We have a number of really like high quality small theaters. And we went out to see, I'm not a big musical theater guy, but lately there's been shows that are starting to tickle my interest. One is Back to the Future, which is on Broadway. I haven't been to that one yet, but that's going on tour next year. But the other one is A Christmas Story, you know, the movie about the BB gun. They have a musical of it, and it is playing at a theater not far from my house. So we went there last night with the two kids. And right as the show is starting, like literally the lights are coming down, my daughter, my little one, knocks her cup of hot chocolate all over the place. Onto her friend, onto the guy's shoe behind us. And what do? You can't stop the show. So it was a little chaotic at the beginning of the show. But it was a great show. If you live anywhere near Connecticut, it's playing at the Goodspeed Opera House. And again, I am not a theater person. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done, great cast. And you know how they have the dogs that bother the father? They had real dogs on the stage. Like the dogs were awesome. It was the whole thing was awesome. I went in blind. I was like, I don't know what to expect. Let's just see what happens. So, all right. So we are booted up now, and the funny thing is the fan on the mini PC is cranking, I think. Now it's calming down. All right, so let's go pull up. I got fans all over the place now. I've got a fan here. These are off. I'm assuming these will spin up when it thinks it needs to do that. All right, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to run that benchmark real quick. And then we'll do some other stuff. And Cedar Lake is going to visit Milford, hopefully in December. Yeah, if you can get out to the Goodspeed, I think it's playing through the rest of this month. I'll have to look and see what the thing is here. And I ran into so many people that I knew last night. It was fun to see a bunch of friends that I hadn't seen in a while. All right, so, it ends on December 29th. It goes right through Christmas. November 1st through December 29th. And the tickets, let's see, let's pick like a Sunday. So this Saturday show, the tickets are, let's see what they charge. Yes, if you, my wife arranged all of this. I have no idea what we paid, but I guess we must have paid $90 for the seat on the floor. And they have balcony seats. The balcony seats are actually really good. There's really no bad seat in that theater. But it was a great show. All right. So let's run a couple of benchmarks. I'm going to do Time Spy first, just because that's the one that we ran on the internal GPU. And what I need to make sure I do here is select the correct GPU. So we have rendering devices 4060. And let's run it, see what happens. You know, it's funny, I can often gauge the interest level of the channel based on how many people show up to one of these things. So right now we've got about 84 people watching. When I did the Mac Mini, we had 400. Like, people hate Macs, but they drive views, let me tell you. All right, so we're going to let this run. I hope these fans will start up. I'm guessing this thing has a variable fan rate. This is a, by the way, an Asus GeForce 4060. This is going to be my new utility GPU. So I'm going to run this in wildlife, and then we'll come back and get the other enclosure out and see how that does. Okay, now the fans are coming up. It's actually kind of fun to see how this thing operates outside of a case. Well, I will say immediately this performs significantly better than the internal GPU does, which is what you would hope, given you're adding a lot more stuff. Thank you for the like, Grand Admiral Thrawn. I need to try the Asus ZenBook Duo 2024. That sounds like it might be kind of interesting. Do you have that, Catlo? No, I prefer to have all my components sit out in the open like this. So in case you're just tuning in, this is a newer technology. I wouldn't say it's so much a technology as it is a connection mechanism. So we right now are using something called Oculink, and that is what this GPU is attached to. Basically a PCI Express slot on a plate that plugs in via this cable, and it's direct to bus, but you need a separate power supply to make it all work. So I've got this huge ATX power supply feeding the base station and the GPU, which then plugs into the mini PC. So the elegance is not here, although apparently Beelink has one. I should look this up. Beelink Oculink case. Let's see what it looks like. The EX docking station has a built-in 600-watt power. Oh, it does look pretty cool. Wow, that thing looks fancy. So let's see is it on. I'm going to write to them and see if we can get one in. That might be fun to experiment with. Oh yeah, it's on Amazon right now. We could get one. Why didn't I see this before? Now, does this have Oculink? Or is it their own proprietary? Oh, it's only for certain models. That's why. Oh, no, okay, it does Oculink. Okay, so maybe it does do that. All right, we're going to try to get one of these in. I may just buy one because it might be good to have this. And the card is still sitting exposed, but it looks like a nicer solution. So if anyone has more info on that Beelink one, let me know. Yeah, if I need a bigger printer. I can't fit one that big in my printer. And Cedar's waiting for a Surface Go 5 with Windows on ARM. I bet you they'll probably come up with some. Didn't they recently wind back some of that work? Trap Exit says with 11 AliExpress sale going on. Yeah, there is a sale going on there. So Oculink comes from the enterprise server world. And the Beelink requires a specific model of mini PC. However, it's now open source. All right, so that might be, yeah, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I was curious because, this is one of those things that, you see one mini PC, you see them all. There's some performance differences here and there, but this one had something new and different. And I was like, we need to test this. We've got a port. I had nothing to plug into it, so I bought all this stuff. I had the power supply. That's the only thing I did have. And Vanja has the K8 Plus. Yeah, it's a great mini PC. And I just made it greater now because I have all this stuff hooked up to it. So I'm going to go into my spreadsheet here, and let's log the results. And if you go to Lon.TV/benchmarks, you can see what I have up here. And when we ran this the first time, okay, so when we ran this without the GPU, we got a score of 3,230, and now we're at 10,494. So this card is in like 3070 territory for performance, just shy of that. Actually, within the margin of error of that, I should say. All right, so this is a, it looks like, oh, I got in a laptop a little while ago that had a 4060. I should look at overclocking this. So we're going to say GMK Tech K8 Plus, the Ryzen 8845HS, and an RTX 4060 Oculink. And 10,494. And our frames per second was 69.02, 58.45, and 37.69. Yeah, so this is actually right in line with the 4060 laptop chip I looked at recently. And that one had a more powerful Intel processor, so that the score was better on that one, but we're in the margin on the graphics. Okay, so now we're going to do wildlife real quick, and then I'm going to shut this all down, and we're going to shift it over to a Thunderbolt enclosure and see what the differences are. All right, so let's go to wildlife, and we'll do wildlife extreme, of course. And I'm in the wrong one, aren't I? Let's see, benchmarks. Wildlife extreme. And run it. Because the big question here is, what will the difference be when we're connected over a Thunderbolt enclosure? That is the big question. And that's why nerds watch this channel. Yeah, it's got like stuff hanging all off of it. Cedar Lake wants to know, does this integrate with the Flowbee? The fan might. The fan might. I still have the Flowbee. I have not used it. I know we almost did. Well, it's funny. I actually got very close to getting George Clooney on to show me how to use it, but his agent didn't want to go there. I think they wanted that story to get off the news. But I did find his agent, and he did ask George Clooney. Isn't that funny? That was like in 2020 when we were all locked up. I love how the fans kick on as the load increases. All right, so let's see how the score looks when we're done here. That's right, back in the Taco Tuesday. Yeah, the taco place isn't even open anymore. It's all gone, all of it. So, but yeah, this is pretty cool. And it's kind of, practicality-wise, it's probably not all that practical. I think we need like a more, you'll see this when I hook up the enclosure for the Thunderbolt. It makes a lot more sense to have a Thunderbolt enclosure. All right, so on Wildlife Extreme, so let's go add this to the score here. It's a nice little GPU for $300. But I didn't want to spend a lot on a GPU, so I went with like something mid-range, right? So this is a 4060. This is about $300. And if you're on the Amazon stream, you can find it on the list of stuff. Okay, so this is the GMK Tech K8 Plus, and so let's do Oculink here, so I've got it designated. And this is an 88.5HS, but also 4060. So we got a score of 19,939. And our frames per second was 119.40. And I put this too high up on my list here, so I got to move it over to the lower number here. Oh, right there. Okay, good. No, right, yep. So this is actually pretty close to what I got out of a 4070 on a laptop chip with the ZenBook Pro 14. All right, so now we've got some benchmarks. So now what I'm going to do is shut this thing off, and we're going to do a switcheroo here. And if you missed the opening of the stream, this will be a fun opportunity to actually see how this all came together when I take it apart. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the power thing so nothing turns on by accident. So one of the things that they warn you about on the mini PC is to not connect this up while it's not a hot swappable port. So Thunderbolt you can just plug right in and you're good to go. But on this you have to do it in a different way. Okay, so now let's if I can get my fingers in there, we can pop the card out. Okay, that came out easy. All right, so now we've got the GPU here. Yeah, so this is all pretty simple stuff here. It's just a, I'll give you the overhead here. So you just have the card that you plug the power supply into, and you put your card in there, and you plug this into the Oculink port. And beyond that, there's not much to it because it's basically connecting to the PCI Express bus. So that is how that works. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hook up the Thunderbolt external GPU enclosure that I have. So let me go get that. It's on the other side of the room. And I have a 1070 in there now, which I'm going to replace with the 4060. I used to use this a lot when, whoa, almost lost it. When I had things to test. I haven't done as much with it lately. But unlike what you just saw, this is an all-inclusive deal here. So when we open this up, this is it. Like you get the power supply and everything you need in one thing. Now inside of it right now is a 1070, and I think if I say Smoke Monster's name, he will show up. Which is good. I want Smoke Monster to show up because he had borrowed this for a while. This thing's been through a lot. This GPU, it's been all over the country, and I'm about to sell it off because I no longer need a 1070 now that I have a 4060. So we're just going to unscrew this, and it's got a hand screw on there too, so I don't have to get my screwdriver set out. And this does not have a release on it. So there we go. I'll take that out, and I'll put this across the room real quick. But 1070 is a nice card. This one in particular is really nice. It can be overclocked. And I'm going to be selling it soon. So now what we're going to do is we're going to slide in the 4060 here. And again, this is a Thunderbolt enclosure. And what we're going to be looking for is whether or not there is a performance degradation with this one. And this is going to connect to the USB 4 port on the mini PC. Oh, hang on a second. Got to unlock my car because my daughter's stuff is in the car. And if the stuff is not in my wife's car when she picks my daughter up, she's very upset. Okay, so let's get this connector in the right way. We don't want any magic smoke in this project. Okay. You know what I'll do? I'll leave it open so you can see it operating. make sure we're properly seated here. Okay, put that screw back in. Now, if I drop the screw, I can say, "Oh fudge, that was in the play last night." Yeah, they redid most of the scenes in the movie, and they did it. It was just so good. The whole thing was. This is the Christmas Story musical that I saw last night, which I think the only place in the country doing it right now is where I live. I don't know. It was excellent. All right. And Catlo is picking. What are you buying? Are you buying the? Are you buying an Oculink enclosure? Yeah, you can do this too. Everybody can. Just be careful, because all your stuff is just hanging out. You know, I'm gonna do the screw later. I'm gonna leave it over here for now. Okay, so let's put this back up here, and I will expose it so you can see it working like we did before. And this time, we're going to connect to the USB 4 Thunderbolt port in the front here. So what's neat about this is that these are not using an official Thunderbolt port, but rather they have USB 4, which is compatible with Thunderbolt. And it's got to find my Thunderbolt cable. Be right back. Now, one of the nice things about Thunderbolt cables is that they are always compatible. So if you have a Thunderbolt cable, it will be 40 gigabits per second. And it will do all the things that Thunderbolt needs it to do. So here you go. See that little 3 there? And even though this is USB 4, a Thunderbolt 3 cable will work. And then in the back of this, if I can turn it around here, it's all connected. In the back, there's a Thunderbolt port. Just takes one of these. So it's a little USB-C port for this big, this big, huge docking station. All right, so we're going to flick this on. And this will not come up until we turn this on. Oh, I got to turn the power back on. That's why. Okay, so the power's back on. And now we'll hit the button on the mini PC. Now, we may not see video out of this, so I may have to switch over. Oh, no, it's working. Okay, cool. And this is, again, through the USB 4 port now. Isn't that neat? It works almost just like the other one did. Well, it was neat until it dropped its signal. Although we may have some of the same driver issues here. Let's see what happens. So, okay, so now I just want to make clear, this is now the Thunderbolt box. So the Oculink was a collection of, of extra stuff. But now we're hooked up to the Thunderbolt box. And I think once Windows boots up that this will detect it and get the drivers up. But yeah, right now we're using the Thunderbolt. Because what I wanted to do was see if there was a performance difference between the Thunderbolt enclosure and the USB 4 one. All right, so what I'm going to do here, because we could have not a security issue, but like a security question that might be preventing the video from appearing before our eyes here. I'm going to take the HDMI out of here, and I'm going to plug it into the mini PC and just get this configured. Let's see if it comes up on the display now. All right, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in directly. So what I was doing before is I was running through my capture hardware in case I wanted to do some video capture. But I think now I'm just going to go direct. Let's see what happens here. Sometimes that video capture device I use crashes. And it's feasible that it did that when it was switching video modes here. Let's see. So no software necessary. It is a direct bus connection, so you're pretty much ready to go when you plug it in. And And James says, yeah, I think that would be the next step. I need to get a bigger 3D printer. Yeah, right. Thunderbolt 5 is on the way. Actually, that Mac Mini has Thunderbolt 5 as an option. All right, I'm going to reboot the computer. I think I upset it. So let me shut it down. We'll start again and see what happens here. All right, we got here before. This will work. I just have to figure out what the computer needs to make it work. It's like a psychology thing. You gotta evaluate what the needs are of both parties. I want it to work. The PC says I will work if you do something the right way. So what I might do is I might boot it up. Oh, there we go. Now it's up. All right. And again, just to be clear, I'll put this as a pinned chat. We are now comparing it to the Thunderbolt eGPU enclosure on the desk. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go back. Well, first of all, let me make sure it's in the right video mode here. Oh, the drivers did not. Let's see, which one? Let's identify our displays. This is 2, okay. All right, so 1 is dormant, 2 is what we want, and we are at 3860 by, so let me go to 200. I like to do my 4K at 200%. And I just want to make sure we've got, we're at 60 hertz. Yep, we're at 60, okay. And I'm going to disable display 1. I don't know why it shows 2 on here. Show only on 2. Okay. Okay, so now let's reboot the thing there. And now we're going to run the same benchmarks, and let's see what we get. The fan on this is much noisier. So CR Paul, if you rewind, you can see it. So it actually worked a lot quicker than I expected. So that's why we moved on to the Thunderbolt already. Okay, so now we're just waiting for this to boot up here. I'm just checking the. Oh, good, my edit is back already from producer Jake. And let's see what we get when this boots up. Now, it is possible when this runs, we may not see a huge difference in performance because this GPU may not need as much bandwidth as a more expensive one might. I would love for it to show a difference, but let's see. And we are plugged directly into the GPU. Let's make sure, yep. So we're not going through the internal video. But now we are connected over Thunderbolt and not Oculink. But think about this, though. I guess you could probably, I mean, theoretically, you could hook up 3 different enclosures. You could have, because this has 2 USB 4s and it has the Oculink. So you could get 3 external GPUs, am I wrong? And then 2 out the back for a total of 5. Yeah, so I think CR Paul, you follow me on Twitter. So when I make it a public video, what happens is that it it puts it into my RSS feed, which then gets sucked into my automation and it starts showing up on Twitter and everywhere else. So I think that's why it did that. So it doesn't actually notify you when it starts, unfortunately. It just does that. Well, I will say I'm noticing, if I'm not mistaken, it looks like we're about 10 FPS behind what we were through the Oculink, at least maybe not. We'll see. We'll see what the results of the benchmark look like. All right. Almost done with this benchmark. Yeah, I need more displays and more GPUs. So Gareth says that on a 7600 XT, there's about a 15% improvement. John Rodriguez, a fellow Connecticut nutmegger, hello there. We call ourselves the nutmeg state. So that's why we call ourselves nutmeggers. All right, here's the moment of truth. Oh, no, we got to do the CPU test. This part doesn't use as much of the GPU. This more is a CPU component. Well, I am happy with my new 4060 GPU. I haven't bought an extra GPU in a while. That 1070 has been my test bed for a while. Yep, definitely not as quick. So, no, the HDMI is connected directly to the GPU. So, right, if we connected it to the HDMI from the computer, it would be even worse. So if we go over to TimeSpy, before on the Oculink, we got a score of 11,012. And now we're at 9,536. And if we scroll down here, what we will see is that the frame rate is 62 frames per second versus 71 on the first test, 52.98 versus 65 on, I've lost my place here. Okay, 62.37 versus 73. No, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry, hang on a second. Let me get the right one up on screen here. Apparently, I've looked at a bunch of 4060s already. Okay, 62.37 versus 69.02 and 52.98 versus 58.45. Interestingly, yeah, the CPU test is within the margin of error. So it's definitely, it's not awful, but the score is lower with the same GPU. And we'll do it the other one now and see what that comes back at. So this is 9,536. 62.37 FPS, 35.14 FPS. Oh, sorry, 52.98. And I'm putting notes together here for charts that I'm going to put up in the actual video. So from a score standpoint, let me look at the percentage difference calculator here. Not a huge difference, but enough of a difference. So we're looking at about a 9.5% reduction in score. So it's, 9.5% is not chump change, right? So let's see if that trend continues on the wildlife extreme test that we ran a minute ago. Yeah, as far as what with the connection type, it won't matter. HDMI versus DisplayPort in this instance doesn't make a difference. And I see some comments about that. And Stephanie is joining us on Amazon. All right, so we're going to collect our system info and let it rip and see how it does here. And again, we are in the Thunderbolt test part of the video. So we did the Oculink already, and we found that the Oculink was 9.5% faster on the first benchmark than the Thunderbolt with the same GPU. And I think what I'll do is record a little B-roll here, because this will be tomorrow morning's project. All right. Now let's see what we get for a score. Dun, 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 dun. Score is 17,975, again, lower than it was on Oculink. So if I go over to the wildlife test here. So on Oculink, we got a score of 19,939 versus 17,975, and about 10%. So it's like 9.5 to 10% is what you're looking at. So that's significant. And the reason why the Oculink is faster is because it is, for the most part, a direct bus connection, whereas with Thunderbolt, we have a controller we have to go through. It's a protocol. So you've got some layers in between the PCI Express and the Thunderbolt there. And Thunderbolt has a limited amount of bandwidth too. I mean, it's a significant amount of bandwidth, but still limited, especially if you were looking at a direct-to-bus kind of scenario. So I would say that if you were in the market and you have an Oculink port, I would go with the Oculink. I'm just going to record my results here. 17,975. And we got in at 107.64 FPS. So there you go. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to see how it worked, and it does work both ways, which is actually kind of cool that you've got that ability to plug it into USB 4 or plug it in the other way. Why don't we try the other, we got a minute or two here. Let me try the other port. I'm just curious. Because this has two USB 4 ports. So why don't I swap it out and see if the other port's faster. I'm pretty sure when we tested this, there wasn't a difference, but might be worth doing it while we're here. Okay, so now I plugged it into the back. Fire her back up again. Isn't it cool to be in this day and age where you could plug all this crazy stuff into your computer? Now, I think what I was mentioning to some people, you know, this is not just a GPU exercise. So if you have another type of card that you want to get at its full bandwidth, one of these enclosures works for those too. So basically it gives you a desktop slot with a lot of extra real estate. And it looks like it's doing what it did before, that the display shuts off. But I'm pretty sure both of these ports are USB 4 ports, so it should work out of both. Let's give it a second. And oh yeah, much faster. Well, you know, we have a GPU that has a lot more horsepower. All right, so the display is active, but it's giving me a blank screen. So we might do what we did before and just shut the computer. I found that like it didn't work on the first boot, but it did on the second. Well, I guess what we could do is we could plug in, I don't have two Thunderbolt attachments, but we could maybe hook the 1070 up to the Oculink and see if both work at the same time. I suppose we could do that. I got a few minutes yet. It doesn't like that rear port. Let's see what happens if it comes back up. I'm just going to let it sit here for a second because it did activate the video, but it doesn't seem to want to do anything. We'll see you, CR. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, hot swappish. It may or may not swap, but you can give it a try. See if it works. Yeah, that rear port doesn't seem to. So when we tested the bandwidth of that port, it worked fine. Now, one thing you can do with Thunderbolt that you can't do with Oculink is unplug it and plug it back in again. Let's see if that makes any difference. Yeah, it doesn't like that rear port. All right, let's plug it back into the front and see what happens. So Thunderbolt you can swap like this. Probably not always the most stable thing to do, but it's not harmful. Although now it is. All right, let me see if it comes. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, it doesn't like that rear port. Let me pop back in here and see if oh, you know what? I'm going to extend all these displays and see what happens here. So I think I had it only on, you might see it as a different display. So I'm going to extend all of them and see what happens. This is I think this one is the internal display that we're not hooked up to right now. So now I'm going to pop it out again, and let's pop it back into the back and see if it comes up now. It may not like the eGPU on that rear port. So I was pretty sure that the rear port was also USB 4 because I think we tested it. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Now it's working. And now I've got like displays all over the place. question is, what is this outputting from? Because this is plugged into the eGPU, but I just got that AMD screen up. And now it's like displaying something on a different display. Whatever it is, it does work. Okay, so we'll take it from there. All right, so what I want to do now is, why don't we hook the Oculink back up and see if we can do Thunderbolt and Oculink at the same time, and then we'll call it a day. I'm curious about that. All right, so that's off. I'm going to switch this back to the front. And then we got to figure out how to fit all this stuff on the desk. All right, so now where did I put everything? Let's see. I suppose I could put this, I can put the case on it and just have it go sideways. I think that's what I'll do. And I'll put the other one on top. That might be the way we do it. So I'm going to leave the 4060 in here just because it's already in here. But I'm going to attach the, I hate putting this thing back together. I'm going to reattach the Oculink, and let's see what happens when we do that. This reminds me of an old PC case and how it comes together. Not very, there it goes. Not very elegant, but it does get there. Okay, so we're going to put that here. This is going to be fun. Excitement, oh, there, let's go back in there. Okay, excitement guaranteed. So we're going to put that in there. We're going to put this in here. I'm going to have this one output to my video system, and the other one we'll do locally. So I need another HDMI cable, which is right here. We'll let that plug in right here. Oops. And then I'm going to plug this one into the Oculink. Yeah, it does. There's a practicality issue here, without question. So let me get my 1070 out here. We're going old school on this one. And we got the power supply. I got to find another power cord also. Okay, so now we are going to, this is getting crazy. This is getting crazy. All right. All right, so that is off. We're going to plug the card in. Oh yeah, this is sketchy. Oh, is it going to reach? Let's put the mini PC. I need to keep those fans like somewhat clear. Put the mini PC here. And then I got to plug the Oculink into here. And then we got to connect up the oh, this is so sketch. My kids say that, and now I'm saying it. Okay, so now we're going to get that going here. That will be right here. And then we need to still connect the GPU power cord, and I need to get a power cord for the power supply. But best to do all this while nothing is plugged in right now. What could go wrong? Let me know in the comments. All right. So we got that going. I need to find a power cable. Here's one. That's not going to work. Let's see. Bear with me for one more second here, folks. I got power cords all over the place except right in front of me. Maybe both of them are in use. Let's see. Let me go grab another power cord. I'm actually excited about this because I think it's going to work. And then, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have one of these go through the my video unit there, and the other one will go through the through the display. And actually, I can get both through the display, so I just can't show them at the same time. What I can do is hook this up to the second port, and I should be able to switch back and forth. Okay. All right. I think we're ready. I don't even know what to turn on first or what the order of anything should be, but let's see what happens. On. That's on. This needs an HDMI cable. So that, okay, so we're going to plug this into the Oculink. And then this goes in from the Thunderbolt. All right. Okay, so now we've got a Thunderbolt GPU and an Oculink hooked up to the same thing. You ready? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yes, there's a red flag warning. This is not recommended. But this is now like the tower of power. You can't even see the computer. The computer's behind all this stuff in here. But look at it, it's working. And I've got my cup of coffee nearby. How safe is this? Well, that's encouraging. It did come up. And actually, I can do a really cool demo with this. All right, so let me go log into my system here. Okay, so now we have that up. I have no idea what is what. So this is the 1070. And this is at 1080p right now, I think. So I think I've got to grab some 1070 drivers also. So let me, oh, now it's figuring it out. It is alive. It's doing what it did before. Remember, it's grabbing the drivers and it's doing all sorts of resets. So I think we'll see this card reset itself. And the question is the Thunderbolt one working? So I'm going to pull up my video thing here. Now this is the output of the other one. It's working. All right. So let's go to display settings. Yeah, there's two displays they're extending. And if I identify them, this is 2 and that's 1. Yeah, it's working across both. All right, now watch this. Let's go. I'm going to do a picture-in-picture thing here. So I can do this virtually. And I'm going to change the size of this so you can see it. Just going to move this over. Boy, this has been fun. I haven't done a fun science experiment like this in a while, but this is like, I'm enjoying myself here. This is like a really nerdy thing. Okay, so I'm going to put this over here, and I'm just going to do a rotate. Oops, I don't want to rotate it that way. I don't want to do it that way either. Let's see, zoom, copy. Where's my, I can rotate on the x-axis, or the y, I want to do it on the y-axis. There we go. All right, so now I've got a virtual thing going on here. So now if I grab this, I want to put one over here, and I can go right across. So I'm going to do a really cool B-roll clip here. So I'm going to go and record this. I know I'm pushing my luck. I'm trying to show the mini PC is actually here. I'm just trying not to block fans. Maybe I'll probably use my cell phone to do this one. All right, so now I'm going to hit my record for B-roll. And I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to do this. So what we've got here is Thunderbolt on the left, and we've got Oculink on the right. That is super cool. All right, so now let me pull up the NVIDIA control panel, and let me readjust the display here. I do like a 200%. It says it's 200% already. It doesn't look like it. Oh, I'm on the wrong display. Okay, hang on. So display identify. This is 2, so I'm going to put this one to 200. Okay. So let's pull up the GeForce control panel. I like how this AMD one keeps popping up also. Yeah, where's the computer? I have no idea how much power I'm consuming either. And I'm not let's put it this way, the power company, I'm not their biggest fan. All right, so now what we're going to do is pull up the NVIDIA control panel. I just want to see what it has for the rig information. Yeah, it's got both. It's showing both. Here, I'll zip this over to the other screen so you can see it. Oops. Let me reset that whole thing. So now I got it. Okay, so now I'm going to show this to you. And put this over here. So it's showing both GPUs. And if I zoom it in, and then we can go over to they used to have like a thing that showed you the specifications of what you have plugged in. Maybe because I have 2 different GPUs hooked up. But needless to say, it does work. And I think I'm going to have to shoot some B-roll with my phone to capture the angle. But yeah, in case you're wondering, you can use both ports. Yeah, there you go. It's only when you pop the circuit breaker. So, but yeah, I think we're in good shape here. So this was a fun one. So to recap, what we have done here today is we have tested the Oculink port, and we have then compared it to the Thunderbolt port, and then we also hooked up both at the same time. So right now we are outputting both Thunderbolt video and Oculink video. And so this screen is the Oculink, that one is the Thunderbolt, but you can do both at the same time. That is crazy. So crazy cool. All right, so that's all I had for you. But let me know what you have for me in the comments before I leave. Because now I've got to get a video ready for tonight. I actually got a cool little gadget tonight. If you're into phone video production, I think you'll like tonight's thing. All right, so let me see what everyone's got for me. Yeah, so lights start dimming. I have a generator, so that'll kick on. But I don't think I'm consuming all that much power, to be honest. We have a lot of potential to consume power. So this is a 650 watt power supply up here. And then, yeah, so we're probably drawing about 200 watts maybe. I don't know. We're not really pushing it at the moment. All right, so there's a couple of components here. The bottom one is, this is an OWC enclosure. They bought, this used to be called the Akidio node, but OWC bought all their stuff. So now this is, OWC sells these. And the Thunderbolt enclosure, at least, is nice because it's all self-contained. Now, this one is like a generic import thing that I got from somewhere. I do have one linked on the Amazon thing that's very close to the one that I have. It's an ADT Link Oculink for $50 for something similar to this. You still have to bring your own power supply though. And the Oculink ones, all the ones that I can find, even the elegant, this is actually kind of cool having this thing spitting here. I shouldn't stick my fingers in it, but they all look like this. You still need a power supply to connect to the GPU and to the card. So yeah, you missed it, handheld. Although this was definitely the opposite of handheld gaming. This is like stacking up. I think the Sega Tower of Power has nothing on this. Like this is hardcore right here. And by the way, the computer is this thing right there, like that little box there. That's the computer. The rest of it is all extenuating or extraneous devices. I just have single phase. I don't draw too much power. I'm LED for the lighting. So I think altogether, like my PC does about 150 watts generally doing this thing. It doesn't, believe it or not, like all this 4K stuff does not tax my system all that much. I am looking forward to MS 2024. I could test it on this, couldn't I? We could see how the 1070 goes against the 4060. But that's right. And actually, I was supposed to go flying tomorrow, but my instructor got stuck somewhere, so I'm not flying tomorrow. So I'm going to be VR flying. I'm doing, tomorrow was going to be ground reference training. So basically, you want to hold yourself in a tight, or a good circular pattern around a target. And you have to adjust for the wind and all that stuff going on. So that's going to be tomorrow. All right. Well, this was fun. It was actually nice to have everything work for once. So let me get my rest of my things up here. This is my Amazon Vine thing. There we go. Okay. So here's a good question from Lon.TV. How many, technically speaking, yeah, you can hold it with two hands maybe. Right, I guess it kind of works. How many PCs am I seeing with the Oculink interface? This is only the second one that I've seen. We had a Minis forum recently that had it as an option, but you had to it came with it, but you had to install the card to get the port, and it used up one of your NVMe slots. But I think we're going to see more of it. When I was at CES last year, I saw Lenovo had a few laptops that had Oculink interfaces on them. So I think we're going to start seeing more of it. Probably more on the workstation side or on the higher end gaming side. I don't think we'll see too much on the consumer side. And yeah, I mean, Thunderbolt, now that it's part of USB 4, I think is a little more prevalent in the sense that more people have it now. And check out the new flight simulator on Switch, Aerofly. It's on the, are you saying it's on the Aerofly FS, huh? Let's see, Aerofly FS. What's that? Let's look it up. Aerofly FS is your next generation flight simulator. Do they have Pipers on there? I got to give them credit if they're going for it against Microsoft, which is now kind of oh, it's on the actual is on the Switch. How about that? I'll have to check that out. How's the realism on that handheld? Handheld's a pilot, so that's really neat to have a flight simulator on a Switch. Yeah, so you get to the point where you may as well just build a desktop computer at this point. But I think people like to know what's possible. So there you go. All right, I got to go edit tonight's video, get that up and running for you all. And if you are, again, if into handheld video production with your smartphone, I think you're going to like it. So good. All right, I'm going to leave, but I'm never far away. So you can send me a comment or an email. You could put a comment on this video. And so I'm going to shoot this video tomorrow. So if you have ideas for me to think about, let me know in the comment section so that I can incorporate it. All right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. And we will do this again. And Mike Dubnick on Amazon says, hello, bro. Back at you. And now I'm going to say goodbye, bro. Later on, everybody. See you next time.